Hello and welcome to Stamps Old World UK, where we explore the fascinating history, artistry, and market value of the world's most treasured postage stamps. Today, we are taking a deep dive into one of the most iconic American stamps ever issued, the blue 3-cent Abraham Lincoln stamp. This is not just a piece of printed paper. It is a miniature historical document, a work of art, and a snapshot of a moment in history when the United States chose to honor one of its greatest leaders. In this episode, we will explore its origins, design, historical significance, condition factors, market trends, and finally, its value in today's collector's market in United States dollars. The 3-cent Lincoln stamp is an eye-catching piece, printed in deep blue, with a dignified portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the left and one of his most famous quotes from the Gettysburg Address on the right. The words, "That government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth," are framed beside the statue-like bust of Lincoln, creating a sense of reverence and timelessness. It was a design meant to inspire patriotism, respect, and unity. For stamp collectors, this piece represents both an artistic achievement in engraving and a profound historical connection to the American Civil War era and Lincoln's enduring legacy. In this episode, we will explore its origins, design, historical significance, condition factors, market trends, and finally, its value in today's collector's market in United States dollars. The 3-cent Lincoln stamp is an eye-catching piece, printed in deep blue, with a dignified portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the left and one of his most famous quotes from the Gettysburg Address on the right. The words, "That government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth," are framed beside the statue-like bust of Lincoln, creating a sense of reverence and timelessness. It was a design meant to inspire patriotism, respect, and unity. For stamp collectors, this piece represents both an artistic achievement in engraving and a profound historical connection to the American Civil War era and Lincoln's enduring legacy. When we talk about the value of a stamp like this, it is important to remember that market value is determined by multiple factors: age, rarity, condition, printing errors, historical significance, and demand among collectors. Although the face value was originally just 3 cents, the passage of time and the interest of philatelists have elevated its worth far beyond its original postal use. However, unlike ultra-rare stamps that exist in only a few surviving copies, the Lincoln 3-cent stamp was issued in large quantities, meaning most examples today are not extraordinarily rare. This fact plays a big role in determining its average price. Condition is the first and most important factor in valuation. Collectors use a grading scale to describe the state of a stamp, from poor, fair, and good, all the way up to fine, very fine, and superb. A stamp that is perfectly centered, with bright colors, clean perforations, and no creases or tears, will always command a higher price than one with faded ink, heavy cancellation marks, or damaged edges. A mint condition stamp, meaning it has never been used and still has its original gum intact, can be worth many times more than the same stamp that has been postally used. In today's market, most postally used 3-cent Lincoln stamps in average condition sell for a modest amount, typically between 20 cents and $1 because of their relative availability. Better quality used examples with sharp cancellation marks and strong color may fetch between $2 and $5 from enthusiastic collectors. Mint examples, however, start to move into more interesting price ranges. Lightly hinged mint stamps can sell for $10 to $20, while truly pristine, never hinged examples with perfect centering and no defects can reach $50 or more. Exceptional specimens, perhaps part of a rare printing batch or carrying a documented error, can soar into the hundreds or even low thousands of dollars, depending on buyer interest at the time of sale. Market trends also matter. The value of this stamp, like all collectibles, can rise or fall depending on demand. When historical anniversaries approach, such as the centennial of Lincoln's birth, the anniversary of the Gettysburg Address, or the end of the Civil War, collector interest often spikes, pushing prices higher. Additionally, the global stamp collecting community is growing in some countries, where philately is becoming fashionable again, meaning more international buyers could enter the market and drive up demand for classic American issues like this one. Another factor that adds to the interest is the possibility of finding printing varieties. Misprints, color shifts, double impressions, or unusual perforation patterns can all make a standard stamp suddenly much more valuable. For the Lincoln 3 cents stamp, certain shades of blue are scarcer than others, and some early printings show slight variations in design details. Such varieties, while not common, are the kind of discoveries that excite collectors and spark bidding wars at auctions. It is also worth noting the role of provenance, a stamp with a documented history, perhaps one from a famous collection or one used on an envelope with historical connections, can carry a premium. Imagine owning a Lincoln 3 cent stamp that was postmarked on the anniversary of the Gettysburg Address or on Lincoln's birthday. Such pieces blur the line between philately and history, making them desirable not just for stamp collectors, but also for historians and Americana enthusiasts. In terms of modern perspective, it is quite fascinating to compare the original postal value of 3 cents to today's postage rates. In Lincoln's time, 3 cents could send a letter across the country. Today, sending a standard first-class letter in the United States costs far more, with modern stamps costing many times the original face value of this classic design. This inflation in postage prices adds another layer of historical curiosity, a reminder of how much has changed in communication and commerce over the decades. For anyone who owns this stamp and is considering selling it, the best approach is to first determine its condition and check for any unusual features. Using a magnifying glass to inspect the engraving details and perforations can reveal whether it's a common example or something more special. Once you have an idea of its quality, you can compare it to recent sales online or seek an appraisal from a professional philatelist or auction house. Sometimes what appears to be just another old stamp can turn out to be a hidden gem. To summarize, the 3 cents Abraham Lincoln stamp remains one of the most recognizable and beloved U.S. issues among collectors. Its market value today ranges from mere cents for common used examples to hundreds or even thousands for flawless mint or rare varieties. More importantly, it carries a historical and cultural weight that makes it a favorite in collections around the world. Whether you are collecting for passion, investment, or both, this stamp is a timeless reminder of a leader whose words and vision continue to inspire.
Next up, the 3 cents red stamp issued for the Final National Encampment of the Grand Army of the Republic. At first glance, it may seem like a small and ordinary stamp, but upon closer inspection, it reveals a powerful story about the end of an era, the sacrifices of the Civil War, and the passing of a generation whose service helped shape the United States as it is known today. The Grand Army of the Republic, often called the GAR, was a fraternal organization composed of veterans of the Union Army, Navy, Marines, and the U.S. Revenue Cutter Service who served in the American Civil War. Formed in 1866, the GAR quickly became a powerful social and political force, advocating for veterans' pensions, supporting patriotic education, and fostering camaraderie among former soldiers. Each year, the GAR held a national encampment, a gathering of veterans to remember their shared experiences, honor fallen comrades, and keep alive the bonds formed in wartime. By the mid-20th century, however, the ranks of the GAR had dwindled to just a handful of very elderly men. The Final National Encampment took place in 1949, marking the official end of the organization's annual meetings, and the U.S. Post Office issued this commemorative stamp in their honor. The design of this stamp is both touching and symbolic. Printed in a deep carmine red, the left side features the GAR badge and the denomination of 3 cents, while the right depicts two figures, one younger and one older. The younger figure gazes upward in a pose that suggests determination and pride, representing the spirit of the Union soldier during the Civil War. The older figure, wearing the GAR cap, looks downward with a solemn, reflective expression, symbolizing the passage of time and the memories of a life shaped by service. Together, these images tell a visual story of bravery, youth, sacrifice, and the inevitable march of years. Above, the inscription reads, Final National Encampment of the GAR, a poignant reminder that this was the last time these veterans would gather under the banner of their beloved organization. When it comes to market value today, this 3-cent GAR commemorative stamp is relatively accessible to collectors due to its wide issuance. Most used examples, especially those with clear postmarks and no damage, sell for between 25 cents and $1 in the general stamp market. Mint examples, meaning they were never used and still retain their original gum, are worth slightly more, often selling for $1 to $3 in average condition. However, pristine, never-hinged mint examples with perfectly centered designs and bright, unfaded color can fetch $5 to $10 or even a bit higher from dedicated collectors who value superb quality. Complete panes or blocks of 4 stamps can also attract premium interest, especially if they are in immaculate condition. While its monetary value may not rival rare 19th century classics, the real worth of the GAR Final Encampment stamp lies in its historical and emotional significance. For many collectors, it represents the closing chapter of the Civil War generation. When the stamp was issued, only 16 GAR members were still alive, the youngest being in their late 90s. By 1956, the very last member of the organization had passed away, making this stamp a silent witness to the passing of the final Civil War veterans. That connection to such a defining moment in American history gives the stamp a sense of dignity and poignancy that goes beyond dollars and cents. For those who collect stamps thematically, this issue appeals to several categories: military history, Civil War commemorations, veteran organizations, and patriotic symbols. It's also a favorite for collectors who focus on mid-20th century U.S. commemoratives, as it reflects the design style and printing quality of the era. If you own one, preserving it properly in a protective mount will ensure it remains in good condition for years to come, maintaining both its modest financial value and its significant historical importance. In the end, the 3-cent GAR Final National Encampment stamp is more than just a small piece of paper. It's a tribute to those who fought to preserve the Union, a reminder of the costs of war, and a token of gratitude from a nation to its aging heroes. Whether you find it in a dealer's stockbook for a few cents or in pristine condition as part of a carefully curated collection, it stands as a lasting memorial to the men who marched in blue more than a century ago, and to the bonds of brotherhood that endured until the last reunion. For collectors and history lovers alike, it's a stamp worth keeping, not for its price tag, but for the powerful story it tells.
Next up, the United States Armed Forces Reserve 3-cent postage stamp. This beautiful purple stamp, issued in 1955, holds a strong connection to American history and serves as a tribute to the brave men and women who have served in the nation's reserve military forces. It features 5 uniformed servicemen, each representing different branches of the United States Armed Services, standing proudly together in front of the wings and shield of the American eagle. The detailed engraving captures the strength, honor, and unity of the armed forces during the mid-20th century, making it not only a piece of postal history, but also a work of art and a symbol of national pride. The Armed Forces Reserve stamp was issued on May 30, 1955, to honor the reserve components of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard. At the time, the cost of mailing a first-class letter in the United States was just 3 cents, so this stamp was intended for everyday postal use. However, over the decades, as postal rates increased and the stamp was withdrawn from regular circulation, it became a sought-after collectible among stamp enthusiasts and history lovers alike. What makes it even more fascinating is the exceptional craftsmanship in the engraving, the rich purple color, and the historical context of post-World War II America when the nation's military readiness remained a key priority. Now, let's talk about its market value today. In the world of stamp collecting, condition is everything. If the stamp is used, meaning it has been canceled by Postal Service Inc., its value is generally lower and can range anywhere between 20 cents to $1, depending on the clarity of the design and cancellation mark. A mint condition example, meaning it has never been used and still has its original gum on the back, can be valued at around $1 to $2 for common issues. However, if the stamp is in pristine post office fresh condition, perfectly centered with bright color and no faults, it can command a slightly higher price, often between $3 and $5 from collectors who seek only the finest examples. Rare variations, such as printing errors, color shifts, or misperforations, can raise the value significantly, sometimes reaching $10 to $20 or even more if the error is dramatic and authenticated by a philatelic expert. It's important to note that while the Armed Forces Reserve 3-cent stamp is not considered an extremely rare or high-value stamp compared to legendary rarities like the inverted Jenny or the penny black, it holds significant historical and sentimental value. Many collectors prize it for its patriotic theme, its mid-century design, and its connection to the men and women who have served the United States in times of peace and conflict. Collectors also enjoy acquiring it as part of military-aimed stamp collections, commemorative U.S. issues, and 1950s-era stamp sets. It often appears in thematic albums alongside stamps honoring veterans, military achievements, and national defense. If you are looking to sell this stamp, the best approach is to determine its condition carefully. Check for perforation integrity, gum quality, color vibrancy, and centering. Mint never hinge stamps with perfect centering generally achieve the best prices, especially if sold to specialized collectors or through reputable auction platforms. If your stamp has a unique printing flaw, consider having it professionally appraised, as rare varieties can surprise even experienced collectors with their market value. On the other hand, if you are a collector hoping to add this piece to your album, it is an affordable and historically rich stamp that can be purchased easily, online, at stamp fairs, or from reputable dealers. In summary, the United States Armed Forces Reserve 3-cent postage stamp is a classic piece of American philatelic history. While it may not make you rich overnight, its value lies in its story, its design, and the pride it represents. Whether you own it as part of a family collection passed down through generations, or as a recent find from a flea market or stamp show, it remains a tangible connection to a time when postage stamps were not only a way to send mail, but also a way to honor national service and sacrifice. If you enjoy learning about stamps like this and want to explore more hidden treasures from the world of philately, make sure you subscribe to Stamps Old World UK, where we bring history to life one stamp at a time.